The Xenomorph, a terrifying extraterrestrial creature born from the depths of science fiction imagination, first made its debut in Ridley Scott's 1979 film Alien. Designed by the visionary artist H.R. Giger, the Xenomorph quickly transcended its cinematic origins, becoming a cultural icon and one of the most recognizable monsters in popular media. But beneath the slime-dripping jaws and biomechanical armor lies a question that continues to haunt both fans and thinkers alike. Is the Xenomorph merely a nightmarish predator, or could it represent a potential evolutionary leap, a step beyond human limitations, guided by pure adaptation and survival? From a biological standpoint, the Xenomorph is a masterpiece of evolutionary design. Every aspect of its being is centered around efficiency, aggression, and adaptability. Unlike most known species, the Xenomorph's life cycle is rapid, parasitic, and horrifyingly efficient. Beginning as an egg, the creature releases a facehugger that implants an embryo into a host. The host organism becomes a temporary vessel, ultimately giving birth to a chestburster that rapidly matures into its final form. This method of propagation ensures both the survival and the enhancement of the species. The Xenomorph's genetic structure is designed to absorb traits from its host, altering its own physiology to adapt to new environments. This fluidity of form makes the Xenomorph incredibly versatile. One might argue that such adaptability is the very hallmark of successful evolution, the ability to change, to survive, and to dominate. Moreover, the Xenomorph does not require tools, technology, or even social structures to thrive. Its physical attributes are so refined that it doesn't need to communicate in the way humans do, nor does it need to build or collaborate. It is a solitary predator that becomes part of a collective only when necessary. The Queen, when introduced in James Cameron's Aliens, exhibits a kind of leadership and reproduction role, indicating that hierarchical behavior exists within the species, but this does not resemble the cooperative evolution of human societies. Instead, it suggests an alternative evolutionary path, one rooted in instinctual purpose, not cultural development. Its physiology is equally intriguing. The Xenomorph possesses acidic blood that burns through metal, providing a natural defense mechanism against virtually any threat. Its outer shell is tough and biomechanical, acting as a form of armor that resists gunfire and environmental hazards. Its elongated head and double-jawed mouth are optimized for both sensory perception and lethal attacks. It doesn't require light to see, nor does it seem to rely heavily on sound. It navigates through instinct, heightened perception, and possibly senses we don't yet fully understand. Its intelligence, though often debated, is undeniable. The creature is not mindless. It learns. It stalks. It adapts strategies depending on its opponents. It can be stealthy when necessary, aggressive when provoked, and cunning when confronting unfamiliar threats. From the standpoint of evolutionary biology, one of the most compelling arguments in favor of the Xenomorph as a superior life form is its reproductive flexibility and its ability to overcome genetic barriers. Its parasitic method of reproduction may seem grotesque, but it is also effective. Viruses, for example, use similar tactics, inserting genetic material into hosts to reproduce. The Xenomorph takes this a step further by completely altering the host's biology to match its needs. Each new Xenomorph is a reflection of its host species, meaning it is not limited to a single form. In one universe, a Xenomorph born from a human may differ in subtle ways from one born from a dog or a predator. This constant adaptation ensures survival across various environments, hosts, and threats. Evolution, in its purest form, is about change over time to ensure continued existence. The Xenomorph does not just survive change, it incorporates it. Comparatively, humans are fragile. We depend on tools, medicine, agriculture, and each other. Strip away society, and the average human cannot survive the wilderness for long. We are conscious beings, creators of art, language, and philosophy, but those may be luxuries in the eyes of a universe that rewards survival over sentiment. Humans evolve through cooperation and intelligence, yet those very traits also bring vulnerability. Emotional bonds, ethics, and societal rules can inhibit decision-making and cloud judgment. The xenomorph has no such limitations. It does not hesitate. It does not feel remorse. It does not question its role. In a sense, it is free from the burdens that accompany human consciousness. That lack of higher-order cognition, often seen as a limitation, might actually be a form of evolutionary advancement if viewed through the lens of survival efficiency. Some might argue that the absence of empathy or higher intelligence disqualifies the xenomorph from being a legitimate next step in evolution. But that assumption is human-centric. It presupposes that intelligence, emotion, and cultural development are the ultimate benchmarks of progress. What if, instead, evolution is about functionality, resilience, and supremacy over environment and enemy? In that context, the xenomorph may already be superior. It thrives where others perish. It kills not out of malice, but as a function of its design. Every feature it possesses serves a clear, functional purpose. It is the embodiment of biological efficiency. Even the fear it induces could be interpreted as a sign of its evolutionary potency. Predators in nature develop traits to strike fear into prey. The xenomorph, through design or accident, triggers a primal fear response in both characters within the alien universe and viewers outside it. This fear is not just based on its appearance, but on what it represents: a world where humanity is no longer at the top of the food chain. A world where intelligence is no longer a shield. The xenomorph reminds us that evolution does not cater to comfort or morality. It caters to dominance. Interestingly, the creature's origins within the alien lore only deepen the philosophical implications. In Prometheus and Alien, Covenant, it is suggested that the engineers, a race of godlike beings, created the xenomorphs, or at least the biological agents that led to their creation. This act of artificial evolution raises further questions. If a species can be created, refined, and weaponized to such a level of perfection, does that count as evolution or intelligent design? Perhaps it is both. Perhaps the xenomorph is not just the next step in natural evolution, but also in technological evolution, an apex organism designed by an apex intelligence. Such a possibility draws eerie parallels to human ambitions in biotechnology and artificial intelligence. We too seek to create life, to enhance our capabilities, and to overcome the flaws of biology. Could our own attempts at post-humanism mirror what the engineers did with the xenomorph? If we remove empathy, emotion, and free will in favor of survival, are we creating a better species, or simply a more efficient one? These are the ethical and philosophical dilemmas that the xenomorph indirectly prompts us to consider. In fictional confrontations between humans and xenomorphs, the latter often gains the upper hand unless extraordinary measures are taken. Entire squads of trained Marines have been decimated by a handful of these creatures. The implication is clear: traditional combat, intellect, and firepower are not always enough. The xenomorph does not just survive, it prevails. Its success rate against other fictional creatures, such as the Predator or even synthetic beings like androids, further emphasizes its dominant nature. And while it may not build civilizations or write poetry, the xenomorph doesn't need to. It exists to survive and reproduce. Everything else is secondary. In this light, one could argue that the xenomorph is not just an evolutionary endpoint, but an evolutionary warning. It demonstrates what life could become if stripped of compassion, ethics, and excess, raw survival, weaponized biology, and total adaptability. While humans may be proud of their moral frameworks, cultural achievements, and cognitive complexity, these traits come at a cost. The xenomorph bypasses them entirely. In doing so, it achieves a kind of perfection, a terrifying, inhuman perfection that makes us question our own evolutionary destiny. Perhaps, in a cosmic sense, the xenomorph is not meant to be us, but to replace us. A creature that does not dream, does not age in the same way, and does not hesitate in the face of danger. Evolution favors the prepared, the resilient, and the ruthless. The xenomorph is all of these and more. It is not burdened by identity, ideology, or purpose beyond reproduction and domination. It is the ultimate survivor, forged in the vacuum of space and perfected by the bodies it consumes. And in that relentless drive to live and replicate, it may well represent a path evolution could take should emotion, ethics, and civilization prove to be biological dead ends. Still, not all who encounter the xenomorph die. Some humans survive, adapt, and even destroy these creatures. Characters like Ellen Ripley show that courage, intelligence, and determination can triumph, at least temporarily. This suggests that the evolutionary game is far from over. It is not a clear victory for the xenomorph, but a challenge posed to humanity: evolve or perish. Adapt or fall behind. The creature may not be our future, but it is a vision of one possible future, one where the only thing that matters is survival. The xenomorph forces us to confront the nature of life, intelligence, and progression. Its presence in science fiction is not just for thrills, it serves as a mirror. It reflects our fears of losing control, of becoming obsolete, of being replaced by something more efficient, more ruthless, and utterly alien. It embodies a form of evolution unshackled by emotion or morality, focused solely on dominance and proliferation. Whether it is the next step in evolution or a cautionary symbol of what we could become if stripped of our humanity, one thing remains clear: the xenomorph is more than a monster. It is a question, and like all great questions, it demands an answer.